In this video, I would like to begin working through John 1 to 18, looking at the prologue of John, and in doing this, develop a series of lessons for anyone that might be interested in learning Greek inductively in this way. First of all, let me begin with John 1:1. We'll read the text, then we'll look at the vocabulary, and then view the grammar, followed then by a translation and a commentary, application, interpretation, or commentary. So the text reads, "In arche, ein halagas, kai halagas ein pros tan thean, kai theas ein halagas." And I may just give the translation here and at the end. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was face to face with God, and the Word was divine. Looking at the vocabulary, and you'll need a Greek New Testament to follow along, we have in, which simply means it's a preposition. It takes the dative case, meaning in. Arche is a noun, a feminine noun, meaning beginning. So in beginning, or in the beginning. Eimi is a verb, and it means to be. Ha is the definite article, the. Logos is a noun, masculine singular, meaning word. It would be a second declension noun, where arche would be a first declension. First declensions are feminine, second declensions are masculine. Kai is the conjunction and. Pros is the preposition meaning to or toward, and it takes the accusative. Theos is a noun, nominative masculine singular, meaning God. So we begin in this first, we might say, lesson, in arche, in the beginning. In is the preposition that takes the dative case. So in the beginning. Arche is in the dative case, and it means beginning. We recognize the dative by the eta with that little iota subscript underneath. In Greek, we decline a noun, and when declining, we give the nominative, the genitive, the dative, accusative of the form in the singular and plural. So here, a little iota, what we call iota subscript, gives it away as the dative. This is a temporal use of the dative within at the time of the beginning, or in the beginning. Let me say, I would recommend learning the alphabet first and then picking up the Greek text. Ein is a verb. It is an imperfect indicative, what we call active, third person singular, from the root eimi. It is showing continuous existence in past time as the imperfect. So at the first, or at the beginning, we are speaking about Jesus, who eternally is or was existing. Let me just say this. In Greek, you have a nominative, which is your present if you're reading a sentence, it's your let's say the Logos, or Christ is the Logos. Christ would be nominative. It's the subject of the clause. Genitive is showing, it's like possession, the book of John. Dative is to or for, like an indirect object. He gave the book to John. Accusative is the direct object of the verb. He saw the book. The book would be the direct object. And so nouns decline themselves in that way in Greek. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative. And then you have vocative, like, oh God, which is more like an address. So as we move on, ha is a definite article, the, and here it is in the nominative masculine singular, logos. Logos is a masculine singular form. It's what we call a second declension noun then. And logos means word. It is a nominative singular, and notice the ending os gives it away as a masculine singular noun. So in this first clause, before we get to the second, we see the eternality of the word. The word here refers to Jesus Christ. We know that because in verse 14, the word became flesh. This first clause is showing the eternality of Jesus. John is using, probably referring back to the Septuagint, that is the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, in providing a backdrop here. It reads, in arche apoiesin ha ta'as, in the beginning, God made. And so whatever beginning we speak about, the Word, that is Christ, was eternally existing. Some refer the Greek word logos to a Greek background in which the logos was like a demiurge, bringing things together, almost like universal reason through which things were created. But in the Hebrew background, logos reminds us, I believe, of several things. First of all, in Genesis 1:3, we are told, Vayomer Elohim, and God said. And so now, God is speaking through the eternal second person as we think about John's application in the New Testament of the Godhead, and it is through him that all things are spoken into being. So Jesus is the agent of creation. Another interesting Jewish background is from the word memra, an Aramaic word, and in the Targum, Jerusalem. These are Aramaic translations of the Hebrew, so Targum, Jerusalem. We find that the word memra is the Aramaic word meaning word, and it is used interchangeably for God, for Elohim. And so a Jewish reader will clearly see here, I believe, that we are talking about God's divinity, except we are seeing Jesus Christ, who is the Word, who is eternal, who is divine, just as God the Father. So in the beginning was the Word, who is the divine Son of God. Kai means and it is what we call a conjunction. So in arche ein halagos, kai halagos ein proston theon. Proston theon. that phrase is also interesting. Pros is what we call a preposition. These are positioned before a noun. And basically, pros is a preposition that takes the accusative case. Remember, we have nominative, genitive, dative, accusative. And so here it means to or towards. So the word was to or towards God, meaning, I think we could translate this face to face with God, hence showing intimacy of relationship. Ton is the definite article, masculine singular, in the accusative case, which is the case of the direct object. So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was ton pras ton ta'an, face to face with God. And so ton is the definite article. In Greek, we decline the article as ha, nominative, to, genitive, to, dative, ton, accusative. So the definite article, masculine singular here, is in the accusative, and it agrees with on, which means God. So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was face to face with God. The last clause, Ta'as ein halaga, is very important to understand. Ta'as is also a masculine singular noun. Notice a second declension with the as ending, but it is without the article. And when we find a noun in this case, where we have two nominatives with what we call the to be verb in between, one with the article and one without the article, we are looking at what is called a predicate nominative. That is, the nominative is predicating something on the subject, which is the word. So the word theos, without the article, is a predicate nominative, and the purpose of this predicate nominative is to declare that the Word was in full quality God, or full quality divine. So it looks at the very nature of the Word as being fully divine. Hence, we would translate it, the Word was divine. Ein again is your imperfect verb from eimi, third masculine singular. Eimi is your to be verb, to be. And when we look at the imperfect, we're looking at continuous action in past time. So, and the word was, now notice ha lagos here. Ha lagos, ha is the definite article with the nominative masculine singular logos. So the statement, the word was in quality, fully divine. Some want to translate this, especially the Jehovah Witness Bible, as the Word was a God, as though the Word had a beginning and was not God eternal, because of it not having the definite article. However, this is not grammatically a sound translation. It needs to be translated as the Word was divine, or fully God. An example of this grammatical idea or construction can be found in 1 John 4:8, where it reads, Agape estin ha theos. God is love. And we would never translate this verse as God is a love, because there's no article before love. We don't have he agape estin ha theos, but it's without the article. And so we would translate it, God is love. Hence, he has the full quality of love. So again, the predicate nominative is predicating something about the subject of the clause. The predicate nominative is giving a quality, significance to the subject of the clause, which is without the article then in 1 John and here also in John 1. So we need to translate it, the Word was divine, just as God is love. We wouldn't translate it, as I've said, God is a love, but God has the full quality of love. So the Word has the full quality of deity. This agrees with John 8:58, where the writer John records Jesus as saying, "Before Abraham was, ego eimi, I am," looking at the eternality of our Lord, and hence declaring his full divinity using the same title of Yahweh in Exodus chapter 3. So, what I would encourage is that students study the first and second declension nouns and the eimi verb. And I have a grammar. I don't think it's out on Google Books, but if you can find first and second declension nouns and just go through them, that would be a tremendous help. I will just refer to my page, which is page 3. And the best way to do this is learn the definite article. Ha, tu, to, ton. Hoi, ton, tois, tus. Ha lagos, for example, the word would be nominative. Tu lagu, of the word, would be genitive. To lago would be dative, to or for the word, and ton lagon would be the word. He spoke the word. Hoi lago would be the words. Ton lagon would be of the words, genitive plural. Dative would be tois lagos, to or for the words. And tus lagus would be the words. He spoke the word. That would be the second declension noun. The first, using arche, would be he arche. He is the feminine definite article. He, tes, te, tain. Hi, ton, tais, tas. He arche would be the beginning. Tes arches would be of the beginning. Te arche, to or for the beginning. And tain archein, the accusative, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, the beginning. Hi archon would be the plural nominative, the beginnings. And ton archon would be of the beginnings. Tais archais would be to or for the beginnings, and tas archas would be the beginning. So I would encourage one just to review or learn the first and second declension nouns, and also to review the verb eimi, the verb to be, to try to see how it is conjugated, the verb eimi. And so we have, let me just find it here in my grammar that I'm using. Eimi, estin. 1 second here. I'm trying to see what page I have it on. But I would encourage you to look at the verb eimi and try to, you could use any grammar book that you might have to try just to review that particular verb to be, especially since we're working through John 1 it'll help to solidify where we're going in John 1. Here it is. It's on my grammar, page 23. A me, I am. A, you are. Esten, he, she, or it is. Es men, we are. Este, you are, plural. And a seen, they are. So a me, a estin, es min, este, and a seen. So I would encourage the learning of the verb me, especially since we're working through John 1 at this point. So, having said that, let me just translate it again. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was face to face with God, and the Word was God. I want to make a statement here in terms of a final application or interpretation. We have three great statements made about the Word, which is Jesus Christ, who becomes flesh in verse 14. The Word is eternal in the first clause. In the second, the Word is seen as a distinct person, face to face, with intimacy with the Father. And in the third clause, the Word is fully divine, or having full deity. It is interesting to notice that the threefold use of the verb ein, imperfect indicative active third person singular from me, is in contrast with the threefold use of agenata in the prologue. First, if we look at verse 3, it reads, Panta diautu agenata. All things came into being through him. In contrast, Jesus is eternal, before all things. He had no beginning, but everything else had a beginning. And by the way, agenata is from the verb genomai, which is showing a point of beginning, unlike the Word, which simply is. Secondly, the Word was face to face with God. An intimate relationship with God the Father. And my computer keeps acting up here. So the Word was face to face with God. An intimate relationship from all eternity. Whereas concerning John, it reads, Agenata anthropos apostamenas para theou. There was a man having been sent from God that came to be. In other words, there was a man that had a beginning. That's John. Where Jesus, ein, was always eternally with the Father. So John is not eternally face to face with God and one who is eternal, but he had a beginning, having been sent by God, we're told. Whereas Jesus was always eternally face to face with God, showing the contrast here in the second ein with the second agenata in this great text. And then thirdly, we have the third ein, kai theas ein halagas. The third ein is contrasted with the verb agenata, I believe, in verse 14. The Word was divine, and the Word became flesh. Halagas sarx agenata. In other words, the humanity of Jesus began as the perfect God-man when he took upon himself our nature, yet without sin. And so in the third clause, the Word as eternally divine is in contrast with the eternal, the Word as eternally divine is in contrast with the eternal Word that became flesh, kai halagas sarx agenata. And so he was willing, as the eternal Son of God, to become flesh on our behalf. So this is just, I'm trying this out to see how it works. This is just a beginning uh, lesson in John 1:1. And I hope it might help someone. But I would encourage you to get a Greek New Testament, to learn the alphabet, and then start with John 1:1. Uh, in my training of beginning Greek, I started with Machen, New Testament Greek for beginners. And you might want to look at that in addition to my brief inductive notes here that I am using in this particular uh, study of grammar. So I hope this is helpful. We're beginning, as I said, by reading the verse, looking at vocabulary, discussing each phrase grammatically, followed by a Christological emphasis of the text concerning the eternality, deity, uh, work, and incarnation of Jesus Christ. And my purpose is that Christ will be glorified. I would also encourage one to learn the article ha, tu, to, ton, hoi, ton, tois, tus. The definite article, and also the first and second declension nouns and the verb eimi in the present indicative active if one has the time, and the imperfect. So I'm going to stop here. I'm just trying this out to see if some can be helped by this method of teaching. I try to employ the inductive, which is what this is, and the deductive, bringing the two together. But thank you. I hope this helps somebody.